Hey friends, welcome to Zoom and Zoomies, the show where 2 lesbians, 3 cats, and 1 dog decided that living in a camper full-time sounded like a great idea.
We're sharing the real behind the scenes of remote work, road trips, and all the chaos that comes with trading square footage for freedom.
I'm Britt, and I think Thanksgiving is the most underrated holiday and also my favorite holiday because I really like the Christmas season, but by the time you get to Christmas, it's like Christmas morning, it's already over. Whereas like the season leading up to it really kind of kicks off Thanksgiving, so I'm very excited.
I do feel like Christmas does overshadow Thanksgiving. Outshadow?
Maybe a little bit, but I'm thankful for Christmas.
And I'm V, and I am very happy to announce that K-pop Demon Hunters is actually eligible for the Oscars.
I wonder if our listeners wonder if there will be a day that K-pop Demon Hunters doesn't come up in the intro.
I mean, I don't think it has every time. Almost every time.
I think we're at a solid 75 to 90%, but yeah, every week we will bring you stories, tips, and probably a few freakouts as we figure out camper life one mistake at a time.
In each episode, we'll have a couple of mini segments and also address a specific topic. Today, we're going to talk about some of the ways our thinking has changed while doing this full time. But first, let's kick off our first segment, What TikTok Did Not Tell Us. Honey, what did TikTok not tell us?
TikTok didn't tell us that heated water hoses are a pain in the you-know-what. So it's starting to get cold here where we are. We had our first night below freezing, and probably for a single night below freezing, it's not really needed, but since it's about to be cold more regularly, I was like, I'm just going to set it up and get used to it. I have a heated water hose, which is very cool. It's basically like a very stiff water hose that, I don't know, has kind of like a heater wrapped around it. So when it's really cold out, it makes sure your water doesn't freeze going into the camper and stuff like that. So anyways, sounds great. It's super stiff because it's more, I wouldn't say more pipe than hose, but it's it's not your regular garden hose, which is already...
Well, it has to be because of the heating element part of it.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's wrapped in stuff that makes it even more stiff and less bendy. So it was honestly kind of a pain to work with, and I thought it was going to be, let me just switch out my hose real quick on my camper. And it was it ended up being a whole project, had water leaking at different ends, had to figure it out, couldn't get it into my elbow connector because it was so thick, the angle wasn't working. So then I had to try the quick connect, then the quick connect was leaking. And then at one point I panicked and thought instead of turning back on the water, after I did all this, I thought I turned on the black tank flush, which puts water in my black tank and will fill up my black tank and overfill it if I have that valve closed, which I did. So I panicked and dumped the black tank and hadn't actually turned the water on. So anyways, it ended up being a whole thing. TikTok doesn't tell you that heated water hoses are great, but man, I stand by, water is the hardest part to work with in the camper.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was no help in all of this.
That's okay. You have your roles. I have mine, and I have my demons, and my demons are water.
I think mine right now is making all of our collected mugs fit in our cabinets.
Honestly, cabinet organization would be really rough for me as well, so I appreciate you handling that.
Of course.
All right, so what about our Zoomies Tip Jar? Because it's not all doom and gloom here. We've got some good news here. What do you think, hun?
So here's the thing, peeps. I have issues with routine, but we have now established a morning and evening routine, and it is working.
We'll see how long we stick with it, because neither of us are morning people, but what's funny is we're also not night people. People are oh, you don't like getting up in the mornings, you must stay up late. No. We love to be in bed by 8:30, 9 o'clock, and not get out of bed until 8:30, 9 o'clock the next day. And you're that's 12 hours. Yes, we're not necessarily sleeping that whole time, but sometimes we're reading books or doing whatever, but get your mind out of the gutter. I know what you're thinking. We're working on getting better at doing some wind down routines to help our brains just slow down and be ready for bed when we get in bed, and
be able to wake up when it's time to get up.
Yeah, exactly. And we're not going to become your 5 a.m. morning club people. Please don't put us down for that. We're honestly just trying to get to a point where it doesn't feel exhausting to get out of bed at 7:30, which is a pretty reasonable and normal time for anybody who has a job or anything to go to, or any sort of commute. I'm really lucky that I don't usually get scheduled meetings before 9, so nobody's really expecting me to be at my desk before 9. And so literally if I need to go from camper to desk, that really rough commute, it depends how many cats are in the way, but it could take up to 45 seconds when traffic. So
I was gonna say, so I think one of the main reasons why we did this was not just to be morning or evening people, is that we sometimes have, especially me, have difficulty sleeping, and then like I have a bad habit of like waking up throughout the night and then having difficulty getting back to sleep. So this was an ongoing issue. So we kind of developed this routine where we have our wind down evening, where it kind of quiets the mind down, lets you relax and get settled in for the evening. We only get into bed when it's time to actually go to sleep. We don't do the doom scrolling. We don't play video games if we can help it or things like that.
Yeah, we were really bad about like getting in bed probably an hour before going to sleep with the intention of like, oh, we're just gonna play on our phones or read or whatever. But like we think we may have kind of like subconsciously taught our brains like being in bed means like doing things like and
Fun time.
but it doesn't mean like go to sleep. And so I think we're working on that, and I think it's making a difference because I have now started like climbing into bed and like my eyes almost cannot stay open.
Yeah, it's been really great for my sleep. And then because we had to wake up, and then that was the thing, I was going through a vicious cycle because I wasn't sleeping right away, or I was having difficulty falling asleep. I wouldn't wake up with Brittany whenever she needed to for work. I would be groggy. I'd be like, I'm gonna sleep a little bit longer, and then it would just start all over. Wake up late, have difficulty falling asleep, wake up late, have difficulty falling asleep. So this has been really helpful. So routines are not just for old boring people, even though we are boring people sometimes. It does help.
Yeah, we are definitely old boring people, but and if anyone's wondering like what exactly are routines, it's honestly nothing fancy. It's like definitely your classic stuff of like like trying to stay off of screens. Like we're probably loosest on that one in terms of like by 8:45 9 o'clock ish, that's when I try to like make sure I'm definitely off my computer, not looking at anything like that, or even really watching YouTube videos or stuff like that. Like usually I'm watching self-help and like make me better YouTube videos, but even that I try to cut those out after like 9 o'clock ish, and then it turns into like could be reading, it could be like, I mean, we will sometimes watch like a show on Netflix or something, but it's like screens like not in front of our face, like just general like things that don't challenge our brain. So, for me, it's like definitely don't be like trying to solve a work problem. Definitely don't be like side projecting my next idea.
Or avoiding social media too, or
Yeah.
TikTok and things like that. Nothing that will be like, oh, this is only a 20-second, 30-minute video, and then hours pass, and like, where did the time go?
Yeah, that's why I, even around this time, I still try to cut down on YouTube videos. But if I am like watching YouTube videos, I want it to be like how to, running improvements or like these productivity these productivity tips and that all that sort of stuff like that I enjoy, or people that I like to follow. So that's what we like to do. And then we drink tea.
Sleepy tea.
We've started to become tea people, and so we drink tea together, and then we pregame our day, which I think we already kind of started talking about, where we around 9 o'clock or so we start thinking through what's tomorrow going to look like, any expectations we have, and just kind of reflect on the day. And that's been a really fun experience for us. And then we just kind of take it easy for the rest of the night. We try not to get in bed right after that, but like force ourselves to stay out of the bed until about 10 o'clock. And then at 10 o'clock, we can get in the bed and, like, read for a little bit and go to sleep. But, like, if we're not anywhere near close to tired, like, even that, we still try to stay out. Like, you were up until probably about 10:30, 10:40-ish last night. But I was, like, very ready to go to bed. So I was, like, I'm going to lay in there and open my book for 2 minutes and pass out.
Yeah, and that another thing I had a bad habit of, I really love doing Sudoku, but that keeps the mind a little active, so I have to wind down on that. But yeah, but if I need to tire my brain, I was like, my brain is just running a million miles a minute. I need to do something that will kind of focus my brain, and I call this like a low stakes type of focus.
Yeah.
So that's why I'll do my Sudoku for an hour before bed just to tire myself out.
Just like everything else, we're still experimenting and trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. But and then our morning routine is, again, not anything super fancy. We get up and we start by, like, I kick up the heat in the bedroom so it gets, like, nice and warm in there. And then we turn on the lights, and we also, like, drink 10 sips of water and then put on, like, really comfy layers and, like, comfy clothes. And then one of us will walk Levi, the other one of us will, like, take care of the litter box, and then we feed the animals and make coffee. And then the idea is to sit on the couch and we have, like, the morning news on in the background that's, like, not the, like, doom and gloom news, but the, like, Good Morning America stuff where it's, like, this cute kid, like, did this cute thing. Like, I don't know. Like,
something that gives you hope.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they tend to mention the national headlines too, but it's a little bit more fun, and so we do that, and that's been really fun for us. And yeah, I fully recommend it. I know you're probably like, okay, that's more information than I was expecting, but we're really happy about it, and we're enjoying it, so feel free to give it a try if you want.
Yeah, really nice.
Yeah. All right, so now let's move on to our main topic today. We had a couple people ask about this when we were asking for ideas earlier this year, when we were like, okay, we finished season 1, like what are some more stuff that we should talk about? Is there more here? We actually did have a couple people ask, like, can you talk about how has your thinking changed? And like, are there different sort of like mental models, or like kind of like worldview feels like a little bit of a strong word, but that sort of like lens of looking at things that has changed the most while you've been doing this. And so yeah, do you have one you want to kick us off with, hun?
I feel like I've talked about this before, because we are living in our camper in a much smaller quarters than, what we're used to. You realize how much space things actually take. And you, at least for me, and you too especially, but like, we've become more mindful of the things that we bring into the camper.
100%.
So like, whenever we're out shopping, like just the other day, I was looking at this really cute Christmas cat themed pillow that looked just like our Lucas.
It was
but
cute.
It was like, do we need it? We have enough pillows. We so have enough pillows, and this is only a seasonal thing. And are we even seasonal pillow people? Like, just kind of like, not necessarily a lifestyle adjustment, but just how we approach physical things in our life. Because the more things you have, the more things you have to pack, and that is exhausting.
Yeah, and I think I agree. I also noticed that about you yesterday, too. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I think us a year ago would have been like, oh, like, well, especially you, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, us a year ago would have been like, oh, yeah, sure, I mean, we can just throw that upstairs with the Christmas tree when we're done with it. Or like, oh, I mean, it'll be nice to like just throw on the bed or throw on the couch or throw, we could have thought of 20 different places we could quote unquote just throw it. Mm-hmm. And now our thinking is like, honestly, before we even really looked at the price, it was more of like, forget how much it costs. Like, where are we going to put it? Are we going to put it on this couch here? Like, is Levi going to actually grab it and tear it up from it's on the couch? Like, do we want to leave it up all year? Like, if we don't want to leave it up all year, like, what is the point of putting it, what is the point of putting it back in storage? Like, could we get another one at some point later in life if we want one? Like, would it be impossible to find? And it's just like,
and then
we use it?
And then after that, there's the idea of, all right, okay, now let's see how much this pillow costs. If it's a cheap pillow, then sure. But I think these were like special. It was a seasonal thing that we went to. It was like, I think it was like a handmade pillow. It was like,
oh, it 100% was. And for the record, I didn't really care. This is where I think maybe it still is a thing for you and like not necessarily for me. I think I had the same amount of attachment to something, whether it is $6 or $60. Like, if I can think of a place to put it, I can think of like a valid use for it, and it would make my life better in some way, and like it feels worth it, I'm so happy to get it. And I don't care if it's like, I mean, there's a limit, right? If it's like something that's $6,000, sure, that's different. But like, just because, like, if that same pillow was $5 instead of, I don't know, $60 or whatever it was, that wouldn't have made me want it anymore, because it would have been the exact same thing where I'd have to be like, okay, at the end of the season, am I like donating it? Am I like putting it in storage? Like,
well, I kind of view it almost like an investment. Like, this is not like an insignificant amount of money. It's not like life-changing amount, but like, we're putting money in towards this. What are we going to use it for only 2 weeks and then toss it somewhere? Like, if we put it in storage, will it get ruined? Anything like that? If we just, are we going to plan on getting rid of it? So like, that's where I look at it at a cost, almost a cost-benefit analysis.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that too, and I think that's, yeah, like, that's not a bad way of thinking about it too, because you can kind of back into where it can make more sense. Like, similar idea of like, this thing costs $200. I'm going to use it once a year. Is it worth buying it? Whereas like, something that's, $100 that you're going to use twice a year. Like, suddenly now the per use cost is like $50 instead of like $2. Like, I get how like there are times where like that math does kind of come into play, but I also, that is definitely not like the first step for me anymore.
Brittany's an interesting type where if she cannot immediately see a need for it or see no use for it and doesn't know what it's used for, she'll get rid of it. And I've had to help catch her a couple of times, be like, and luckily I am like a meticulous like labeler. Like, anything, like our wires and whatnot, they all have their own like Velcro strap and whatnot, and there's a whole system to it. And if I can help it, I will label it. And thank God I did. Brittany was cleaning out like our cord drawer, and like we came across this wire. She was like, I don't know what this is for. I spent like 5 minutes thinking about it. I can't figure it out. Clearly it's not that important. Let's just put it in the donation. I spent some time to look at it. I was like, I think this is important, or else we wouldn't have already kept it. And luckily I had to label it. It's the wire that controls the standing desk. She's not using the mechanics of it, but You will eventually.
Yeah, I don't actually have it plugged in, which is why we saved the cord. But this desk that I work at every day is a standing desk. It's just, it could raise and lower. I just haven't wasted a plug plugging it in because I never really stand at it anyways. But that is a fantastic example, one, of my speed reading, but also two, of just our general mindsets where, like, I have, like, a super low threshold of, okay, I've given this 45 seconds of effort. Can't imagine what I would use this, moving on. And you're like, let's actually think about it. And, like, that was a case where, like, yeah, good thing you put some thought into it because, like, yeah, I would have been sad had I lost, because it wasn't just like another USB-C cord. It was like a very special cord for this thing. So.
And I don't even know if we can find some like that specific thing as easily
to
replace.
Been sad.
Remember that one time where you almost got rid of that Apple Pencil?
And then I lost it again.
Story for another time.
There's plenty of situations where, yeah, we balance each other out well in this regard. Mm-hmm. I think is a good example of that.
Mm-hmm. All right, so what about you? How has your mind or thoughts like kind of shifted the way you approach, now living here full time?
I think there's a couple things that come out for me. The big one is the idea that everything is figureoutable, and it actually kind of, owning a camper in general has felt like this, but even more so now that it's my, like, primary domicile. Like, the other night when our toilet clogged, and it was not just like well, that's a problem I'm gonna have to solve at point. That was like, that's a problem I need to solve before we have to go to the bathroom. Like,
we only have one toilet, people.
Yeah, and, like, there's a bathhouse, sure, but, like, that's not a, like, well, we'll YouTube that in a few weeks when we get a chance. And so the idea of, it reminds me a lot of when I was learning how to code and, like, develop software, because you'll have some problem in front of you, and it just feels completely terrifying. You're like, I don't know how to do this. Like, I don't know how to, my battery's not working. I don't know how to suddenly make it work. My toilet is clogged. I don't know how to unclog it. Like this, I don't know how to write code that does this or that thing. And you're, like, super scared the first time you start to see those problems, and you get really stressed because you're like, I have to figure it out. Like, this is literally my job, is to figure this out. And you're, like, very stressed about it.
And
you're
frustrated, like, I imagine.
Frustrated, and then you start feeling like you're trying a bunch of things and they're not working, and you're like, this doesn't even feel logical. Like, this should feel logical. And you try something and it doesn't work, and you try something and it sort of works. And then you, like, find new things that don't work, and it's just, like, really, really stressful. And then you figure it out. Like, whether it's, someone guides you and shows you. Again, that happens both in learning to code. I had a lot of good mentors that were really helpful. Random strangers on the internet who would, like, help me diagnose things. And then also same with, like, a camper. Like, there's just so many different things that it's like, well, I, have a bad valve, I guess, on my tire. It's losing air. Like, what do I do? And, like, sure, some of those things you pay and someone helps you solve it. Some of them you find a YouTube video and solve on your own. Like, changing my crankcase something or the other on my truck. I don't even remember what it was called, but I saw a notification on my phone, found a YouTube video, and I fixed it. Like, and I think all of those, it's still scary, to be honest, when it happens. Like, I still panicked a little bit, like the other night when my toilet clogged. But it's one of those things that over the last, 2 years of owning a camper, and specifically the last, 3 or 4 months of doing this, you start to feel like, okay, each time it gets a little bit less scary. Obviously, some things are still more scary than others, but you start to be like, okay, we can figure this out. There are solutions for things. Like, you can pay people to fix problems. You can fix them yourselves. Like, these things are going to happen. Like, it's just inevitable, and it doesn't mean you're bad. It doesn't mean, like, you're doing anything wrong, and you just have to kind of have the patience to push through it and, like, take a deep breath and find a solution.
And maybe, like, slow down and be like, all right, let's identify the problem.
Yeah.
Understand exactly what's going on, because the moment you, like, just throw and, like, try to fix a bunch of random things, you might actually make the problem worse.
Oh, yeah, 100%. That's kind of like another thing that I would say my mindset has changed, is trying to change on, and, like, kind of relates to this, is that I am speed. I am, like, Lightning McQueen. I love to do everything as fast as I can. If I am doing a thing, like, the next time I do it, I better do it faster. And you really have to, like, readjust your frame of thinking with all of this, because it's not a race, and, like, if you try to make it one, you're gonna screw something up. And, like, whether it's travel days, we talked about, like, you've got to remember slow is smooth and smooth is fast, and, like, there's gonna be traffic, there's gonna be people sitting at the pump. Like, same with, a great example is, like, the hose, like I was talking about earlier today. I was like, oh, cool, it's gonna take 15 minutes to go swap out this hose. Ended up being, like, an hour and a half project. Like, everything's going to take longer than you want. It's not about speed. It's not about doing it the fastest way. It's about, like, actually, just doing the thing, having different expectations, and like letting things take what they need to take. Like not everything has to be a race, and I very much struggle with that. I would not say that I have learned that, but I would say I'm working on that.
Patience is a virtue.
And I am not a Proverbs 31 woman. I'm working on it. Yeah, and then I think also this probably kind of relates to the same idea of kind of what I was talking about. Everything is figure outable, like having to take care of a bunch of things. Like I really learned to kind of take care of the things that you own. This camper and my truck and this whole experience, I have never in my life put so much literal blood, sweat, and tears. All three of those things, every single one, not an expression. I have put so much blood, sweat, and tears into this truck and this camper. And like there are, so many random things I'm doing where I'll just like nick my finger and I'll like cut it, or I'll like have a sit on the, like, I'll never forget, like, one of our first few trips, I had to, like, I think you'd gone back to Baton Rouge, and I was, like, packing up on my own, and it was fine, but I could not unscrew the sewer hose. I literally, like, had hit my head 3 different times on things. I was sitting down on the grass crying, and I was like, I don't know that I can be a camper person. Thankfully, like, the tears are, like, much less frequent now. And yeah, sweat just because it doesn't matter how, like, everything is just so much work, like, and it's good.
A lot of labor.
But yeah, all of that is to say, I feel like I'm selling this as, like, terrible, but, like, I feel so much more connected to this truck and this camper, more so than I have, like, my condo in Baton Rouge or, like, anything else I've ever really owned, because it's not, like, you literally are pouring yourself into it. And you do, too, I think, in certain ways of, like, thinking through, you've probably also had blood, sweat, and tears in different ways, like...
Yeah, well, you appreciate the things more because you are quite literally responsible for whether this is livable or not. And we have to travel with it, so we have to make sure almost every aspect of it is running the way that it should be, and that's on us.
Yeah.
So you kind of care more intentional, more thoughtful and mindful about how you take care of things. And it kind of goes into what I say, what we're bringing into it, because that's just another thing that we have to put into consideration when we're packing up and moving, or we're living in a certain area for like a certain amount of time and things like that.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, so I think those are some ways. It'd be fun to probably do maybe an episode like this again in like 6 to 12 months and see like what does that look like, or maybe one day when we go back off the road. Or back off the road, whatever we decide to call it.
Back on the grid?
Yeah, back on the grid when we're, like, in a house to see, like, okay, like, what's the version of this then? Has that, like, changed more or less? But, yeah. So, thank you all for asking this question. This has been a really fun thing to explore and kind of reflect on for ourselves. And I'm going to try to remember that next time I have to change the hose. And when, I'm driving on the day before Thanksgiving and I'm hoping traffic isn't too bad. It'll be an adventure. But, yeah, we'll remember, it's not about speed. Everything's figure-outable. Take care of your stuff. But yeah, now let's move on to our super exciting pet drama report that I promise you today has no details about bodily functions of our animals. Or, like, at least not bodily liquids.
Anyways, our cat Lilo, we've mentioned her. She's great. She is the chunky one. I can say that.
She is beautiful and perfect in every way.
Yeah, she is, but she's also a bit of a chunk. And we love her. Every inch of her, we love. You know how we love our bed? The only other living creature that loves our bed more than us is Lilo. She immediately, like, when we wake up, even when she's out of the bed and she can hear us, like, getting up and moving, she'll jump on the bed and lay on it. After we make the bed.
99% sure she's in the bed right now. Seeing as how I'm in the living room right now and I don't see her, like, I'm 99% sure she's in the bed. I will, for the YouTube watchers, I will go take a picture and show you. But if you're listening, you're just going to have to trust me. She loves the bed. And it's the cutest thing. Like, she'll get up in the mornings with us and do our little morning routine with us where she walks around, gets her food, and then we'll just be sitting on the couch, like, going through our newsletters, having the morning news on, and we're just like, where'd Lilo go? And one of us will get up and go to the bathroom and see she's already tucked herself back in bed. She's just laying on the bed and is just, like, on her blanket. I'm actually going to go take a picture right now.
She's like a posh little lady. So she loves our bed, and not just because of the heated blanket, because she did this before that, but there's a particular, like, gray, fluffy blanket that they love, and so I make sure it's always on the bed when we're not sleeping in it, and she sleeps on that. She burrows herself a little bit in there, and it's quite literally one of the cutest things ever.
So
However, I'm getting worried that we are allowing her to be a very, very lazy cat.
I want to start taking her on walks. We're working on the leash training thing. Maybe that'll be the next pet drama report. I'll let you know how that's going.
Well, I would like to point out we've tried and we've had to, and this is why I call her a chonk. I love her, but we've had to get a specific leash to fit her belly.
Which is fine. She just still won't walk in it, but we're working on it. And remember, everything's figureoutable. It's not about speed. And we will take care of things we own, like our cats.
Remember, it's always about that first step.
Exactly. Every journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. All right, now let's lastly move into our random question of the week. Ooh, this was a fun one. Okay. What is our favorite things to do at the camper, but outside of it? So things that only can happen, like, outside of the camper, not inside.
Like at the campsite and things like that?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's kind of the vision.
To no shock of anyone who's following the Pyromania origin story, I've been really loving campfires. Like...
Yeah, and we definitely can't do those in the camper. Something has gone wrong if that's happening inside the camper.
And I've made it a personal mission to, like, be able to start a proper campfire without a fire starter. I've only needed to do it twice. But yesterday, I think it's because a lot of things were really wet.
Yeah, it, like, rained all day the night before and the morning of. So
And
I think,
then-
like, just the ground in general was wet, even if your wood was dry.
That's what she said. Anyways, but besides that, one of my conditions about getting a camper, besides I don't want to be the one driving and hauling it, was for a hammock. And Brittany got me one. So I love laying back and reading outside, preferably next to my campfire, like either swinging on my hammock or in a rocking chair, which we have like 2 rocking camp chairs.
That's 100% the way to go. I think for me, one of the things I like doing is watching something on our projector. It's really cool, like when it's dark out and we just have like a big sheet up on the side of the camper and bring the projector out and like, I don't know, it's like very fun and cozy to watch movies out there and just like on the big screen and we have a good speaker and like, yeah, I don't know. It's fine to watch TV and stuff in here too, but it's really fun on the projector.
I will say it is really fun because for a couple of Halloweens we've done this. We'll have like Halloween movies, sometimes a scary movie, and like our neighbors, if they're just walking around, they'll stay for a little bit to watch it. I think for this past Halloween we left some chairs out for the kids because we were watching The Nightmare Before Christmas.
No one took us up on it, but yeah, they kind of like, as they would pick up their candy, they'd stand and watch for a minute. It was very cute.
Yeah, so we love that sense of community aspect of it as well.
All right, friends, that's it for this week's episode of Zoom and Zoomies. Next week, we're talking about becoming more minimalist and how Bee has found her journey as a recovering maximalist.
It is still a journey, folks. But if you've got any questions, topic ideas, or you just want to say hi, send us an email at zoomandzoomies@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you.
You can follow our chaos on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Just go to zoomandzoomies.com for all the links.
And if you liked hanging out with us today, it would mean the world if you left a rating wherever you listen to podcasts and hit the like and subscribe button on YouTube. It really helps other people find us and join in on all the adventures.
Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time with more Zoomies.